Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you. You know, it's a lot of pressure to be the last presenter on a Friday, so I'm going to try my best to stay within time. Thank you very much for sticking around and for allowing me the opportunity to share what we're doing at the University of Guam. The work that I'm going to present to you today was inspired by Hamel and Prahalad's Competing for the Future statement about change. And I think we talked a lot about that during Mr. McCarthy's presentation earlier. The disruption is normal for us to grow and to become better. And the question that comes up is, you know, why are we always changing? And I think it's the why that's important. And I think it's also the when. And my philosophy is, if we don't do it now, then when will we do it? And so it's all about strategy. So one day, I just, was thinking about a lot of things having come from a conference presentation, and I'm always inspired. So after this, I'm going to go back to the university, and then they're going to be cluttered with, their email boxes are going to be cluttered because I've been inspired by so many things, and I'm all about change and being relevant and just being ahead of the curve. So I asked some faculty members, so what's the vision for our program for the School of Business and Public Administration for the next 5 to 10 years? We have an annual fall retreat, but those fall retreats just seem to be, a year-by-year exercise and not really a thoughtful, strategic process. And so I challenged the faculty to think about this big vision of what we need to become. And fortunately, the faculty member was very receptive to the idea. And it's nice that when you can count on a faculty member to share the same vision and also have the same strategic interests. So the question was, so what do we do? What are our students looking like in the community? What are our stakeholders saying about our students? And is our program offering an experience that's going to make them attractive to the market, both as to employers and also to graduate programs? And the impetus also was a comment made by an advisory council member who gave feedback on a recent hire, one of our accounting students. And he said, your graduates are top-notch. They know their stuff, but they're not confident when it comes to presentations. So this goes back to the hard versus soft skill sets again. And so the question was, if we are going on this journey of change for our program, there needs to be a thoughtful integration of theory and practice, of soft skills and hard skills. And so this was the journey that we took. The project consisted of a team that had to be faculty members. So I included a faculty member who had institutional knowledge and history, so someone who knew and was involved in the change prior. It had to have someone who had accreditation knowledge as well. So we had our IACBE accreditation liaison who was also involved in our WASC accreditation reviews. I also involved a person who was in charge of assessment for our programs. And assessment at different levels. We have university assessment, we have our accreditation assessments, program assessments, course assessments. We have an assurance of learning committee that we developed for our programs, and so this particular person for the business administration served as that member. Our division chair for business administration was involved, and we also had an academic advisement and assessment coordinator who is a staff employee for the School of Business and Public Administration who takes care of our new and transfer students. So they played a critical role in this process. I include a member of our advisory council and a key member of our business community. So that was the composition of the core team. Along the way, the team invited other faculty and other relevant members of our community to be a part of this whenever the need arose. So the project goal was to transform the business administration degree program along with the Bachelor of Business Administration and Accounting. Let me back up a little. The current program was a Bachelor of Business Administration with concentrations in marketing, finance, and economics, entrepreneurship, human resource management. We had a custom design concentration in international tourism and hospitality management. I don't know if I repeated something, but we had those concentrations, and then a Bachelor of Business Administration and Accounting. So we embarked on this journey to transform these programs. The vision for this process was to position ourselves to be the drivers of change in our community, in our business environment, and in our island, and in our region. That was the vision. The project timeline consisted of 5 phases, and I involved the faculty in special projects that they did over their breaks and along with their load allocations for regular semesters. We started this back in academic year 2016 with the ambitious idea that we'd finish this in time for academic year 2018. So it's a 2-year planned process. So we held strategic retreats with the faculty member to go over this change and assign out some projects. We came up with a program architecture for this new program and what it would look like. And this architecture deviated from our current concentration at the time to look at pathways, to look at different faculty profiles. Guam is a long ways from here. It's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and we don't have access like you do just moving from state or even just cities. So it takes a lot for anyone to come and teach at the University of Guam. You have to relocate, and you're just oceans apart from family. So we have difficulty trying to attract faculty. So we had to come up with a new profile. And also keeping in mind the student experience with the new generation of students that we have. Generation Z students are quite different from the students that we know as millennials and even our Gen X's and Gen Y's. So we earmarked the transition in academic year 2017, so a year from when we planned these out, and then full implementation in 2018. So this is I'm sorry if you can't really see it, but this is a framework of what this process entailed. So we conducted an environmental scan of the environment, took into account all the trends and activities that were going on. We had to consider accreditation standards, and we also included conversations with our students, our alumni, and the various stakeholders that we had. We did a strategic diagnosis of our current situation and where we wanted to go, identified those gaps, and those gaps translated into the program architecture that we call our BBA program with pathways, and I'll show you what that looks like. But our tasks were broken down into areas of responsibilities. So program leadership was involved with a number of things. There were things already in action that made the timing of this change a lot more tolerable. We were doing a lot of assessment work throughout the university on identifying and scaling down on what program learning outcomes really are. We had a transformation of our general education framework, so that model was already in a period of transition and almost at a point of finalization. We were already looking at some changes in our foundation because the courses were not quite relevant. And so all of those together were part of the program leadership. So my role was, I was involved as the dean along with the core committee members. Then the resources and delivery, our faculty members played a critical role in identifying what types of faculty we'll need, what type of student experience we wish to incorporate throughout the program, which new partnerships we need to establish, what networks and at different levels, and also what external offerings do we have available to help support this new framework that we were creating. And technology. There is a push for online course offerings. So as many of you know, we have leaders in here who have a huge online presence. The University of Guam is not quite there yet. We're just looking at some courses going on, and we only have 2 programs that are offered online. And also, it's looking at our mission and that alignment with our strategic vision of where we want to be. And all of that needed to be aligned with who we are and who we hope we want to be. So this is a lengthy mission statement, but the University of Guam had just gone into a transformation of its mission and vision. So they were inspired by Collins's good to great philosophy. And so we adopted a good to great statement of greatness. And we also have our SBPA mission and vision, which were driving forces in this entire process. This is what our old program looked like. We had 55 credits required for Gen Ed, 51 for our foundation courses, and 12 credits for concentration, along with 6 credits for any non-business administration upper division elective for 124 credit hours. Some important data to factor in is our School of Business and Public Administration leads in terms of majors. Our university has just under 4,000 total students enrolled at our university. In the business administration program, we have around 800 students overall at our last count. But these were the numbers at the time, and this looked at the period of 2011 to 2015. So in 2015, we had 618 business administration majors and 3,647 University of Guam majors. So we were still experiencing growth, and it was just this semester that we experienced a little bit of a decline in enrollment. And this is the breakdown. This is the breakdown of our faculty members. So full-time faculty, we have a total of 12, and that's an average because we would have to hire emergency hires because some people would either retire or just retire. And we actually lost one member, just lost one member. And then we have a large number of adjuncts, and we also looked at the number of majors per concentration. So the accounting majors always rank high, but in combination, we have higher numbers with the business administration degree program, with marketing leading the concentrations. So the situation, I kind of explained all of that as I was going along, but what I want to point out is with the good to great transformation, there were 4 key areas that all programs had to meet. They had to be aligned and fit to the University of Guam's statement of greatness. We had to have a program that was sustainable, and that meant, we're accredited, we had the right number of students who were enrolled and declared as majors and also who graduated. And we were looking at 100 graduates per year as the baseline for all programs. There had to be a demand for our programs, and what am I missing? And quality, academic quality. You had to have high academic quality. So when this good to great process took place, our business administration degree programs actually ranked high compared to all other programs at the University of Guam, which was a good thing for us. Our faculty, though small in number, are highly committed. So knowing that we had several vacancies, we had 4, I think, at the time, faculty were willing to take on overloads. So our faculty were mostly a teaching institution, taught 4 courses, and then took on 2 overloads. Our student population is highly diversified. We have students coming from the Micronesia Islands, and all these islands have their own specific and unique cultures and languages. SBPA is known to have a very rich culture, so students and faculty all get along. People want to be there, and they enjoy being part of the SBPA programs. Our weaknesses, of course, are always related to budget. We are a public institution, so we rely on government funding. In recent years, we have experienced a decline in government funding, so we have had to go after grants and other external funding to get by. And we're still in the process of trying to get our budget for fiscal year 20 at the moment. We have a severe shortage of terminal degree faculty, and we have 55% who are eligible for retirement. We're an open admissions university, and we thought that we had too few hours in our concentration requirements that you saw in the previous slide. Many of our students are unsuited for internships, and so that made it difficult for some of them to get that real-world work experience, which affected the overall student experience and the quality of that experience. We did not embark in a portfolio system. So trying to track student experience was a feat. And it depended on which faculty member you had or which concentration you were in to be able to track that. And many of our students work more than one job. They have families and other commitments. But in light of all that, our stakeholders still said that they see our programs as offering high quality, and they viewed us as providing high administrative leadership. We have a great academic reputation, and they're very pleased with the quality of graduates that we have. I talked about this. I'm going to go ahead and skip right through it. I don't see anything different. It was 14 years since the program had changed when we started to talk about this. The driving forces, I'm all about change and evolution, so we need to ensure that we are staying on top of what the business school trends are, so we hold ourselves accountable to that. There are a lot of accreditation pressures that we also wanted to meet, and it's just an overall goal for us to make sure that we can compete with other institutions outside of Guam and outside of Micronesia. The other driving forces relied on community needs. Our stakeholders were looking for people who were able to solve problems and were solution-centric. They wanted to have professionals, people who could communicate effectively and collaborate readily. And we compared that also with the 10 skills valued by employers. So we saw a number of models throughout the presentations that spoke to this. And this particular one was what we used to base our framework. So our program architecture was based on a number of things that led to reviewing our program learning outcomes and moving it from 9 to 5. And it really is looking at being able to integrate the fundamental concepts of business, understand your environmental factors and what those activities and trends mean, to solve problems, and think critically and be prepared for a business career. So it's nice to know that some of the presentations previously reaffirm this new take on our program learning outcomes. And here is a slide that compares our old program to the new program. So we were able to decrease the number of courses that students were required to take in their general education requirements, which freed up some courses that they could take in their pathways. So our new program consists of the foundation at 50 credits, pathways at 24 as opposed to 12 concentration credits, and 3 interdisciplinary credits that are non-business administration that they would have to speak with an advisor about. So the 3 pathways are the general pathways. These are for students who just want to be able to have a degree to work, participate in the workforce. The professional pathway are for those students who want to have some sort of credentialing. So we talked about stacked credentials and badges. this is the pathway that we would recommend for those students. And then we have our honors pathways, which is catered to our best students. And we define that. This is just a graph of what changes were made, and I'll go over that in a little bit. Did it get messy in the process? It sure did. But I think at the end, when I tell you, we met our goal of academic year 18. So we were able to implement last academic year. But what changed? Here's what changed. We were able to develop a Business 180 course, Business Essentials. So we heard about how to teach students about business etiquette, how to put together a presentation, how to speak effectively. Those are all covered in there. Oh, and the case methodology. So they had to be well-versed in case methodology and business decision making. So, and that's where they would start their e-portfolio. So we included that. We also included a business, professional, and career development course that students would take before they take their capstone courses. So we were finding that students who came into the capstone didn't demonstrate knowledge of the fundamentals that they should have learned. So this helps to refresh those students by taking those academic leveling modules. And Peregrine was a great resource for that. We moved several courses into the general education tiers, which allowed us to add courses into the pathways. So we added analytics and quantitative analysis into the program requirements, so logistics and supply chain management and the MIS or business analytics or business courses. We also added a leadership and CSR course that allowed for students to learn about collaboration, so they'll be able to engage in service learning opportunities in the community. So this is what changed in the foundation courses. And then our pathways, I have them all here side by side. So at the moment, the faculty decided that students would get into the pathways based on their GPAs. And so a student with a 3.3 cannot get into the honors pathway. That should be a 3.7, by the way. And these courses that they choose to take, the next level, have to be advisor approved. And then we have select courses that students would take at each of those pathways that would fit with their particular interests. And then a great university has to have great faculty. And that's our biggest challenge at the moment. These are the numbers that represent, we have 11 full-time faculty who are tenured. The average age of our faculty is 59. 55% of our faculty are retirement eligible. We have 4 faculty vacancies. We have 87 courses in total that are taught